And that's for his thoughts on the week's market action. Mr. Shapiro, thank you very much for joining us. You're still on holiday?
No. I've been working this week.
Oh, good. So you can give us...
come into the studio on Friday at 5 o'clock. There's no traffic, really.
Okay, tell me what you've seen on the market over this last week. Anything that's caught your eye?
Well, yeah, very interesting. Of course, it was led higher by resources. I still think that's going to be the driving force behind the market's gains, and I know that I couldn't hear Peter in the background, but I know that he's been rather cautious about some of the valuations, but the more we worry about them, the higher they seem to go. Anglos and Billiton's still leading, but a lot of money coming back into Kumba, Exxaro, Sasfin seems to be also gaining. So I still back the sector. I think ArcelorMittal looking quite attractive at these levels as well. So with that leading, I would expect financials and industrials to gain on the resource market's shirt tails.
Peter's saying that the jobs data that disappointed in the US today is not going to halt the positive momentum on the overall markets.
I think so, and I think what came through, and just listening to reports, is that a lot of temporary workers are being employed, and that's normally a precursor to permanent employment.
That number was up around about 47,000 over December.
Month as well. Now remember, in November we had positive jobs data, plus we had quite a significant increase in temporary. So I think that's giving some kind of joy to the market, or cheer to the market, that eventually those will turn into permanent jobs. But overall, there's a much better tone on markets, people feeling that the data that is coming through now is more positive, and we're seeing it in buying. And Bronwyn, remember, there's still a lot of people on the sidelines, a lot of people who haven't come into the market, and the one thing that is distinguishable in this market is that there are no sellers.
Just a moment ago I was asking Peter whether he thought we would see that much anticipated pullback that we haven't seen to this point, for that money that is sitting on the sidelines to be deployed into the market. In your view, are we going to see any retracement, or is this one way up? Are we going to see the market putting on another 10% this year?
I would say we would hit the all-time high, certainly by the end of the year. I think that this market is going to gain momentum. Of course, it's going to be choppy along the way, and there might be periods of rest where some of the valuations run ahead of the fundamentals, and we need to drift sideways. But I think those will provide opportunities for people to come into the market. And of course, the big driving force is that interest rates are not going to go up this year. It's going to take some time. They're still very nervous about the fragility of the economy, or the global economy, and I think that's going to keep interest rates low. And I would even expect our interest rates to come down here as well. Of course, that's always an attraction for the market.
And that theme of Rand's strength looks set to continue. Does this have any bearing on your investment decisions?
It does. It's a worry for the South African economy. I think it's going to hurt us and continue to hurt us. It's going to hurt everything from tourism. I'm very worried about the World Cup. I'm worried that this is going to act as a deterrent for a lot of those marginal tourists who might be here. I know we're making a big spiel about it, but it's a concern for me. So I would worry about the South African economy, but so many of the stocks that we trade in are benefiting from a turnaround in the global economy, from commodity prices. And I continue with the theme that I was pushing last year, to stay with commodities, to stay with those companies who are operating outside of our borders.
You mentioned earlier that ArcelorMittal looked attractive to you. I know you are in favor of the likes of Kumba Iron Ore. If I had to push you for your top pick in the top 40 on the JSE All Share?
You mean for this year?
For this year. I
think it's going to be in that region. I would probably either an ArcelorMittal or a Hulamin or a Barlow World, or a Afrox. Already Afrox is starting to run away. I think it's going to be amongst those four.
David, I'm going to hold you to this. I've already written it down. ArcelorMittal, Hulamin, Barlow World, and Adcock Ingram. We will...
Not Adcock Ingram, Afrox.
Afrox.
I still like Adcock Ingram, but Afrox.
My apologies. We better set the correct stage before we move into the rest of this year.
Now watch Adcock Ingram be the top performer this year.